Oh man. What do you think it is? Do you think this is gonna work? This whole, it's like a green light. So this will make it look more chill. I mean, is this weird, or should I just get this out of here? Like, it should be like this. That's like yeah. Oh, this is that's sort of cool with it off like the thing. That's not bad. I mean, it really is pretty cool. The other thing, I mean, what? It's not. It didn't make the light that cracked. Like, is it because the light's coming in from the other room? Like, what's doing that? What's making it like that? Let me see something. Did that help? Oh, that helped. I mean, that helped a lot. We're gonna talk. See, I wasn't really gonna talk about anything. I want to tell you what we're gonna talk about though. But I feel like, I mean, what I want to prep. I mean, let me actually give a background because I feel like in just telling you how I know this, it's gonna take forever to get there. And like there are limited time on this. Like I don't know why whenever it runs out, I'm always like, hey, like, damn. But no, like they run out. Listen, I mean, I want to tell you something about because I wanted to talk about Obama and what I learned when I lived on disability in New Orleans. Because living on disability in New Orleans, I had this weird opportunity to see like a bunch of things that like told me something about Obama. And there's a lot to say about that and why it told me something about Obama. That is to say, like specifically about Obama and like something different than like normal. But why I was right about this guy in a weird way all along. Actually, more, the truth is, I didn't really know for that. I would have loved to be able to say something like this, but I didn't really think that he was that. I don't know. I mean, I didn't know he was like that. I didn't really understand like how not okay he was for a long time because I had heard people like people in the LaRouche movement have said like, oh shit, like the first black president's an anti-black racist, but the thing is like they usually mean by everything. I know what they mean, but the thing is they usually, here's an example where you need to sometimes understand irony also because they're like, sometimes what they're referring to requires like a huge background to know what they mean. And sometimes it's actually a disservice to them because like people are just, they're trying to be provocative or get someone to listen, but I know what they mean, but before you understand what they mean, it's like, what? So I thought it was like that, because there's a lot of reasons why black people are being harmed anyway, but there was another thing about the New Orleans situation, and because, what happened down there with the flood, it's a predominantly black city. Like, let me explain, like, this, people should know that, like, who don't know that about New Orleans. A lot of people, it's weird. A lot of people do just think it's like Bourbon Street in the French Quarter, and that's how people like when I was living there. That's like the whole thing. Like that's when you work the most. That's when you make the most money. That's the whole point. And my friend worked in a hotel. I was in a restaurant, and that's why you go down there to do that and you make a fortune. But the whole thing is really that people don't get off Bourbon Street. I mean, they really don't get off Bourbon Street, and it's not like there's some reason they should. I mean, it's like I think it's one of those things like you live there locally or you don't, but it's not, I mean, it's one or the other. It's not like there was some other place that someone could have gone that I'm saying, oh wow, man, you didn't travel to the real spot. No, it's not really like that. It's like a local experience that's very, very, very local, or it's, the part that people like partying and everything. Okay, fine. But the local experience, it's telling you, like, it's a predominantly black city. And the thing is, like, in fact, it's one reason the racism now is particularly off the chain, because you gotta understand, like, it's a predominantly black city with a huge amount of extremely, like, rich white people in it too. So there's a weird vibe as far as race relations. I mean, from the standpoint of a racist, it's sort of like, like fucking crawling with the people they don't like. It has that, like, because it's a predominantly black city. But here's the thing. What's the story? Right, but here's the thing. Anyway, so I got to have this experience because I had no choice left, okay? I had no choice left with disability and I applied. But here's the thing. So, right, that's what I was doing down there. And the thing is, here's what I'm saying. Why did I have, what kind of tour of the world did it would take with this fucking thing? Well, here's the thing. It's a little more than, see, okay, look, I hoarded up money, okay, look, but if I was going to cut it off of my family, in this situation I was in, that was it. But obviously, I had one thing going for me, which is I could be hoarding money the whole time because I'm actually, it's like I said to a lot of people, it's a lot like what happens to women who want a divorce from a psychopath and he doesn't want them to get the money. It was pretty much like exactly like that, and the techniques he was using were the same. But here's the thing. So I went. It's hard for me to talk about, like, with making a joke out of it. But I think I got a background in like this. Otherwise, I'm never going to get to it because I do want to talk about what I figured out or what I realized down there. But here's where I got the goal because of that. So what happened is, look, I hoarded all this money, okay? So I went down, but I got to town. Where do you find an apartment? Like, how do you find an apartment before you have an apartment? And that's a big problem. Because remember, my shit the flood took all my shit the first time. I mean, it took my house. My shit was in a storage facility. My house was a place where the water went under. And then my stuff, they ended up cutting the lock in the storage facility because I've been in New York so long. And I couldn't pay the bill because I bought all these fucking... So that's what happened to me. But it wasn't like the flooded in my house that I lived in for a long time. But no, that furniture was in a storage facility because I was getting ready to move neighborhoods when the flood happened. Anyway, that's how I got stuck back in New York. But here's the thing. What's the point? Okay, but then when I came back down there because I knew it was a place that I felt, you know, it was just a place I didn't get my soul back or whatever. I felt like I had lost a piece of myself and I wanted to go to a place where I knew whatever, and it's also dirt cheap and this and that. But also I'll tell you this story like on another show, another program. This is a program. Okay, what was the story? Okay, look, fine. So when I get to a place where you don't, and I didn't know anyone anymore, so I had to figure out where to stay. And where do you stay? And you can't get a cheap hotel in a tourist town like that. So where would I stay for a while I found a place? And not that I could, because I'm going to plan, where am I going to find a place you can live on disability, but where am I going to stay in the meantime? So when I got to town, I asked around, and it's weird because, down there, like, you hear a lot of weird answers to that question. Because I'm saying, like, I'm saying, people say, I asked someone, and he was like, yo, the best place, man, like, well, I stay every night, he was like, yo, like, we all stay under the bridge, like, okay, no, I don't want to stay under a bridge, like, there was people, because when you're walking around looking like I was, with a fucking backpack, and you just got out of a nut house, and you all types of shit are happening, people think that's, like, being cool. Dude, listen, this is the spot, and no one heard my question, which is like, no, I want a place to stay for a while, but it's not the bridge, under a bridge, but I can't really stay at a Holiday Inn for that long. What do people do? What do people do who are on the disability? And this is the point. What do they do? Okay, fine. So there's a whole kind of trajectory, which is, they said, they stay at these things called a guest house. So I stayed at this guest house. And see, that's not really one thing that I want to rope in. That was really demented, but that's not to do with the fucking government didn't create that. That's another story. But anyway, I stayed at this guest house while I got the fucking, where I could get the checks and I could get the thing. And then I had enough money saved up to, here's the problem. How are you going to get an apartment? This is all background of what I was doing there, okay? How are you going to get an apartment with no proof of income? Well, I mean, no income, but also no income, okay? But then also, here's the thing. Most people in my situation, like, they have daddy guarantee the apartment, which is what, like, people like me always do. But here's the thing. I'm fucking, the whole point is like that. So I'm saying, like, I can't even guarantee it either. So I have no proof of income. I don't want anything to guarantee it. What's my story, right? Why am I in this situation? Well, I was just in a fucking mental institution. Okay, this whole thing, like, how am I going to get an apartment? So I'm saying what I needed to be able to do, the only thing that was working was to get a place simply by offering to pay, 6 months in advance. Like, okay, I'll tell you what, I'm in a weird situation. I'll give you 6 months in advance in cash. Like, if you just let a person with no explanation for their story, like who the fuck this is, and the thing is, I was really scared of what was happening because I'm gonna tell you something. While I was down there, my father fucking impersonated me at the bank. So listen to me, like, I was with Sabrina in a hotel right before I got the place, and she said, I think you're worried about your father. Like, I gotta see, he sounds like a prick, but I don't know, I gotta see this shit to believe it. And while we were there, she saw this one because one of the things that happened is she she needed some money, and like she didn't have any money, and she knew like I had money, and like so, you know, she needed a couple bucks, and I went and my fucking all of a sudden the card wouldn't work. The card wouldn't work. I call up the bank and say, "What's going on?" And it's this bugged out conversation where like it sounds all strange. And they said, "Okay." And we finally, I said, "I understand. Why did you block my account?" And they started asking me weird questions. And finally, what came is that I was the second person that day that had called up and said they were me. Okay, what's going on? And I said, "Oh, wait a minute. Yep, there might have been someone who called the bank and said they were me." So that happens every once in a while, something like that. Who they might have been, right? Because someone wants to find out what city I'm in. They said, "Well, look, we launched a fraud investigation and everything, you know." And the thing is, Sabrina was there. It was the first time anyone saw it, and she's like, "Yo, that's fucking psycho. Like, you weren't kidding. Like, that was a real thing you were telling me about." I said, "Yeah, because they." See, apparently he called a bank saying he was me. I was like, "Yo, the thing is, he found out I left the nut house and wants to know where wants to know what city I'm in." I mean, that's what I dealt with. So I'm saying I was already in a weird situation. So to come down, what I did is, I got all this cash and I went, but enough to get a place for 6 months. Okay, but it still had to be a cheap place, and not that I could have lived. I want to tell you what the disability was, and I had work. I mean, work before. It's not like I had a career before. Okay, so it's based on your income. It still was $700 a month. $700 a month. Okay, I mean, okay, that's really not. I mean, I really don't know how one does that. But here's the thing. I guess I mean, how you do it. I know how I did it, and it was disgusting. I mean, it wasn't disgusting. I want to say it was disgusting because the thing is, like, there's people all over the place living like that. But the thing is, like, it was just too much for me. It was just too much for me. Yo, have you ever gone a day without where you really like? There's a couple. I mean, I really had not had a certain like type of experience. That only happened a couple times. But you know something? It's weird when you have it. I mean, it was just a weird thing where I understood. Maybe it was meant to happen. Like, I really had understanding that I never had before. For like when people come up to you on the street and say, like, "Do you just have $1?" I mean, dude, it was the most strange experience in my life. And it did, but it just was trippy. It was just trippy how I was in that situation all of a sudden. But here's the thing. I want to tell the point is, so I get a house, but I need a lot of space because I don't feel safe anywhere. So here's the thing, I like walking around a lot. I got a fucking, okay, so the thing is, but I could get one of these houses with a lot of space in it. They have these things called shotgun houses. It's basically like a fucking tunnel, okay? Imagine you ever seen, okay, look, if you've seen Evil Dead, that show Evil Dead, where I mean, no, I mean, it's the movie Evil Dead 2, the movie Evil Dead 2. What does everyone remember about Evil Dead 2? That part where the house keeps getting bigger? Okay, I'll put a video on it up and put it on the favorites or whatever. Okay, I wish you could like play a little show, you could play the video. Okay, here's the thing, right, okay, what it is you go inside and it's like room, okay, boom, door, room, these are just room, till you get to the fucking end, like patio, I'm moving back, well, I'm go to the patio. It's a fence situation with concrete that I guess is, you could have a barbecue or something. I mean, that's what it is. It creates a real hazard though, because I'll tell you how it ended, because they build, okay, anyway, it's like, it's called a shotgun. So imagine it's a long, narrow house with these big, tall ceilings and like narrow, okay? But that's a lot of space, and it's just what I needed was to walk around like that. And the woman agreed for this. I mean, to not ask, she didn't ask anything. She didn't want to know anything. I mean, it was like totally anonymous, and it was just cool that she didn't, I said I'm a writer, I said that's my thing, I'm a writer, and, whatever. It's just kind of, I sort of made it like, I'm sort of, on the what, I don't know, like that I'm doing this, like, just because I'm a writer, like, this is like kind of like a, that was the vibe I was trying to give out, like that I'm such a weird guy that like I want this big house in like a weird place or something, like, which is funny because this is kind of what I mean by a spiritual experience. Like, some of these things did seem like something that like I wouldn't have had the kind of balls to like think up, like, I'll go fucking get this special place in a weird house so I'll write about it. And then here's the thing, I don't really it turns out any writing I did down there, I mean, I put up the drawings I did down there, and maybe this is some weird way, this is the thing that was going to come out of that in a weird way, but but I'm not writing a book about it. But that would have been, but that's the kind of thing when I was younger, that would have been like if I was writing a novel or something, that I would have thought I would want to do that. Unfortunately, by that time, I was so fucking, I'm not having any fun with any imaginary characters anymore. Like, I don't think that's funny anymore. Like, I want to tell you what the fuck happened to me. And I mean, I just lost my interest in making imaginary tales about things and making it like from my perspective, but like imaginary. I mean, I just grew up out of that when this shit happened to me. But that is what I would have, what I told her what the kid in me would have wanted. Like, this is because I'm a writer. You know what I'm saying? This is because I'm a writer. I'm in New Orleans as a writer. You know, I'm the undercover, some fucking guy from uptown New York. He's living like that. But okay, so I got to live in a fucking this very poor neighborhood,